Okay, everyone, we're going to continue with our exciting programming. A big thank you again to our earlier panelists and moderator for that impactful session. And now we have an upcoming panel called the Employee Resource Groups, ERGs, an employee-driven way to achieve a cohesive work environment. So please welcome to our stage our moderator, Carolina Cardoso, from North America I&D Relationship Management Lead at Accenture.
I hope this is on. Yes, I'm going to work on all our panelists to get it comfortable. Hello, everyone. Buenos días. Qué bueno. I want to see how many are you part of HOLA ERGs. We were just having this conversation before. All right. I know we have other names, and we're going to learn a lot from these fabulous panelists with me today. As a way of introduction, my name is Carolina Cardoso. I am the North America I&D Relationship Management Lead at Accenture. I have the privilege of working over 2 decades. I know I look like I started when I was 15 in the I&D space, so driving innovative programs and opportunities to create the sense of belonging and connection that are critical to people's needs. On a personal level, so that's what I do. On a personal level, I am a mommy to 7 beautiful children. I know, right? Thank you. I joke around because I came to the U.S. as an immigrant from Chile. In Chile, we love having children, so I stayed true to that. But I am thrilled to be here with these wonderful executives who are leading great change in their organizations. For me, it is something that it's a necessary conversation, a meaningful conversation on the way that we engage with our people. So this panel is really about leaning into that and the understanding how do we create cultures of inclusion and equality through ERGs and really be intentional with strategic planning. So along with me today, we have Elsa Roman from Merck, Anthony Almaced from State Street Corp, Jamie Maldonado at Accenture, and Vianette Thorsten at Fannie Mae. So we're going to start with some intros. So over to you, Vianette.
Certainly. Hopefully you can hear me here. I'm Vianette Thurston. I am a lead project manager for Fannie Mae, help support the work that we do to attain, attract, and develop a diversity workforce for the company. It's an honor to be here along with the panelists. It's incredible to be in a room full of incredible Latinas, so thank you for the opportunity. On a personal level, I am also a mom of 2 beautiful multicultural children. They are my light, and for fun, you might catch me on a dance floor dancing salsa. So this is a very much different platform for me. I'd rather be dancing on stage than speaking, but this is an honor, so thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. My name is Jamie Maldonado. I am a managing director at Accenture. I work in our tech strategy practice, doing consulting for clients on the intersection of business and technology, which is a passion of mine. Another passion of mine is being a part of our Hispanic American ERG. I've been a part of it for 8, almost 10 years. I am the national ERG co-lead for Hispanic American group. I am also a mom of 1, so we're going down a number, 1, who keeps me quite busy. I live in the area, originally from Puerto Rico. I came here to follow the American dream, and I'm delighted to be with all of you guys today. So excited to get into the conversation.
Bienvenida.
Hello, everyone. My name is Anthony Almanzar. Happy to be here again this year. I can't believe the year went by so quickly. I'm from State Street. I am a vice president and I am a program manager with the Global Advisor business, which is the asset management business. And there I work something similar to what Jamie mentioned, which is working between business and technology and finding solutions for our business to meet our goals. My Latino job, right? I am the chair of our Latin American Professionals Group, LAPG. I'm also involved in a number of initiatives regarding global inclusion and diversity at State Street. And recently, I also joined the board of our local Alpha chapter. So I am the director of financial literacy for that, and I'm very excited to do that. Besides that, I'm from the Dominican Republic. I came to the US when I was 17 years old. I don't have children, so we went down to 0. And I'm happy to be here and happy to share our experiences with our ERG and happy to also learn from our fellow panelists. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Elsa Roman. I am from Puerto Rico. I am a mother of 2 and 2 fur babies, so I added 2 to the family. So I originally studied, my background is in biotech, but I also have a background in business and in healthcare systems. I joined Merck in the biotechnology sector in the Merck manufacturing division. In there, I am global quality leader for management systems. I'm responsible for the analytics that are associated with the performance of compliance and quality. I also lead the external entities, the processes and digitization of the tools that are used in the manufacturing division to partner with external entities and do quality risk management. So that's part of what I do from the technical angle. And then I'm also very proud successor of Alex Ibanez, that was the previous Alianza EBRG, which stands for Alliance. In English, is Alianza EBRG, had been at Merck for 25 years. So it's a Hispano-Latino community at Merck, and I am continuing with their legacy in the global sense. So I'm a global co-lead of Alianza EBRG.
Excellent, thank you. I did say incredible leaders, didn't I, right? I do want to also, as we've done in other, is to say a special thank you to Lupita, Robert, and the whole Latina Style 50 team who have brought this together, and we really appreciate this opportunity to have this conversation. So, Elsa, we're going to start with this conversation around, we've seen a lot of the journeys of ERGs move from food, fun, and festivities, as we've heard it say, to more strategic. The question to you is, what role do ERGs play in successfully implementing an organization's D&I strategy?
Oh my goodness, so it's a very powerful tool. So ERGs, or EBRGs as we call them at Merck, are a very powerful tool to leverage the passion of volunteers around the globe to really harness their experiences at work and also their knowledge. And because they're volunteer, they really are after making an impact on their personal life and also contributing to the broader picture in the company. So it is really a powerful tool also to deploy the ESG marks, right? As a company that cares for health in the communities, and we care about bringing health equity as part of what we do at Merck. EBRGs are a partner, are a source of knowledge, and are a source of cultural significance to what we do as a business, because we want to mirror and we want to meet our clients or our patients where they are. So harnessing what EBRG's membership do for Merck is we mirror the communities, we bring insights that are meaningful to what we do in closing the gap of healthcare. So I do have several examples that I would like to share later if the opportunity presents, but EBRG also works in developing internal leaders, right? So we have programs hosted by Alianza and partner with other business leaders to develop our workforce and develop leadership in our employee groups around the world. Then we also have the social component, the social responsibility and community outreach. All this is part of the senior strategic imperative at Merck from that ESG perspective that then are translated into diversity, equity, and inclusion office. And from there, all EBRGs at Merck, specifically Alianza, we develop our year plan to execute programs that really advance those strategies and those imperatives for the business. So it's really, and then harnessing the passion, as I said at the beginning. It's like, bringing value to me as a person, or because I participate as part of the BRG, but also to the company because we join efforts in really changing the world.
I love that. The impact of value and impact as we think about organizations and moving from passion to purpose through strategy.
Right,
Thank
absolutely.
you. Jamie, you were sharing a little bit back there where we were together. Can you share how
Yeah.
Accenture's doing it?
Yeah, I'd love to. So before I get into that, by a show of hands, how many I&D leaders do we have in the room? Okay. How many ERG leaders do we have in the room? Awesome. How many allies do we have in the room? Okay. So from that standpoint, and this is going to mirror a little bit what you said, right? A company sets out their I&D strategy. Accenture, we call it an I&D strategy because we think inclusion is so incredibly important that we put it first. So our I&D strategy at Accenture. They set out their strategy every year. As an ERG, we take that strategy as input to develop our own strategy for the year in support of that. We also survey our members and our chapter leads. We have about 4,500 members across North America and about 35 chapters across North America in our ERG. So we survey all of our members. What do you want to get done this year? What are your priorities? We take the priorities from the company, from the I&D strategy. We take the priorities of our members, and we also talk to the 35 chapters and their leadership teams in terms of, right, what's the impact we want to make? And you put all of that together, and as I was preparing for today, I asked a couple of my chapter leads, hey, how would you answer this question? And they were like, we're the boots on the ground. We are here to help contribute to that strategy and make that strategy a reality. The other thing we do on the back end of that is we also do a scorecard. How do we measure how far have we moved the needle, right, in terms of all of those I&D goals that we've set out for the year. So you put all of these things together, and every year we go through this process of setting our own strategy, which tends to mirror very closely the I&D strategy for the company.
And I think that's so key as you think into the integration of these strategies that are here into the way that we show up in our locations and with our people. So thank you so much for sharing a bit of that. As we look at the value, and I know that we're going to get to in just a moment, Anthony, but I really want to touch on the thing that you just shared in the previous question, which is around, driving value and impact are the things that we often hear from our leaders, and especially around a question that we often get. So how can an ERG be substantial value add to an organization? Can you tell us a little bit more about the health equity?
Absolutely. I'm going to bring an example that is going to sound impactful for my team that is here in the room, but also hopefully you can see how Alianza members had made a difference at Merck. So this was a story after the pandemic where health equity was really lacking specifically in that community that was considered, the employees that were at work during the pandemic mostly were Hispano Latino, and at the same time they were hesitant to go get vaccinated, and so vaccine hesitancy is a problem in our communities, in our Latino community, and getting information and making sure that the health literacy of our community help them to make the decision that is appropriate for them in terms of getting vaccinated. Vaccines are, a health right. They are free, but they really cure or prevent diseases. So how did we get to the community? So the Alianza team partnered with the business to create a campaign. And they listened to the community. They listened to what was important for us to bring a message of clarity and confidence into the vaccine programs that were in so much need in our community. So in reality, they went back, Alianza members from all over Latino background brought pictures of grandma, so they did identify that family, and that legacy is one of the most important things that we care about, right? Our abuelas, como nuestras abuelas, how our grandmothers really want the best for us in the future. So they went back, they searched pictures, they got into a very meaningful campaign that would touch the minds and the hearts of our communities in terms of why it was so important to get vaccinated. So they launched the campaign in all the social channels that were applicable. They measure how those messages were getting to communities, were getting to people. They were able to get metrics associated with the touch on those announcements. They were like probably when measured it was 9x. When they compare with other TV commercials or other TV announcements, and at the same time, the new vaccinated starter patients, which is another metric that is used to measure the success of a campaign, was there in 110,000 new patients that came to get vaccinated, in the U.S. So that was one meaningful example of how an EBRG joined with the business to really make an impact in our communities that we serve. The other example, and this one is a little bit briefer, but it's a very impactful as well. So Alianza and Merck has a signature program for employee development, and also we participate on talent acquisition, but employee development is key. So we want to make sure that everybody at Merck is a leader. Leadership is not a role, leader is a skill, right? So how Alianza wants to continue developing our leaders of the future and the leaders of all our businesses is through making a program or developing a program and a curriculum that resonates with our values, that resonates with our needs, and also resonates with what the business is looking for in us as leaders. So we have partnered with external entities to collaborate in developing courses. This is not this year. Again, my predecessor is here, Alex, and this is something that had continued for years and years. So we have a signature program for Latino Alianza members and Alianza community that we deploy, developing our people, and then we bring them into a mentorship program that also had been in place for years. They serve either as mentors or as mentees, but they bring back the value to continue helping managers developing their workforce. And I think those are two very impactful examples of how an EBRG can really make a difference in the day-to-day of our companies.
And internally and externally, that's
internally and externally,
beautiful
absolutely.
Example. Anthony, you would like to share a little bit of how you're driving value through your BERGs?
Sure, yeah. So with the LAPG, which is the Latin American Professionals Group, we look at the way we're organized. We use the 4C model. So we look at how we drive value and impact in the careers of our members, how we drive cultural awareness, how we service our community that we live in, right? And commerce, which is sort of supporting the business. So we are aligning that way, and we partner with other ERGs as well in some of that work, particularly with the Professional Women's Network, which global co-chair is here today, Jeanette Ladino-Otero, sitting down there at the State Street table. And she's also the predecessor. She used to be the chair of the Latin American Professionals Group. And last year I stepped in as the new chair. But before then, I was the chair of our professional development committee, which is our career development arm. And with that committee, we partner often with the businesses on a number of initiatives to advance the leadership development for our members. So in 2020, we launched our leadership development program, which is really about partnering with diverse senior and executive leaders in the company and having conversations with them on specific topics related to leadership, where the employees can join, and that was during the pandemic, so it was all virtual, join and learn from the leader about specific topics, find common grounds, get advice, and sometimes they even find informal mentoring opportunities. In the background, we were also building our mentoring program, and then we launched the mentoring program. We are on our third year of mentoring program right now. Every year, we look at how we can improve the program. So this year, we partner with a cohort we call the Latinx Leadership Cohort, which is the most senior Latino employees, Hispanic and Latino employees at the organization. So we partner with them to amplify and sort of broaden the scope of the mentoring program that we initially had. So we included now a mentoring opportunity for employees that are assistant vice presidents and vice presidents in the organization. But another thing that we added to the program was that we made it an skip level mentoring program. So that means that, for example, VP will get an SVP mentor instead of a managing director mentor and so forth. And something else that we did with the program is that we amplified the scope and we made it truly global. So we're proud to say that we're mentoring people across all the different regions, regardless of whether or not they're Latino. We have, mentees in China, mentees in Australia, mentees in India. So, we have to support the global workforce because that's what State Street looks like. So probably over 50% of our workforce is outside of the US, so we also have to support their development as well. So that's one of the ways we drive value internally, partnering with the businesses. I think we could not have done any of this without the support of the businesses and the various leaders. They're always very happy whenever we reach out to involving in a panel, to involving on an interview. This year we're launching the continuation of a sort of social movement that started last year with the Black Professionals Group, the BPG, in partnership with the PWN, which is Professional Women's Network, which is called Share Her Voice, which is basically having, during that version, it was like Black females, right? Having them being interviewed and sharing their story, which then translated into highlighting them and finding mentoring opportunity. So this year we're preparing the Latina version of this. So we already selected 9 Latina women across the organization, and we're partnering with different senior and executive leaders to have the same exercise where they're gonna come in and share their stories so people can see them, they can learn who they are, and so forth. So we're doing a lot more in the space of raising awareness, highlighting, spotlighting. We had an amazing Hispanic Heritage Month from a social media perspective last year where we did a lot of highlighting and really recognizing the members and the leaders in the ERG, which is a Latin American professional group, that allow us to attract more talent to the network, to attract more members, to attract more leaders. We grew by about a little over 100% in terms of committee membership, because now a lot of people are compelled to be part of this group and be part of what we do. And all this work takes a village, right? It's not the one person, it's a whole group of us. And on a community side, right, as you mentioned, we do have a community outreach committee, and they do a lot of work. And this year they started working with an organization called Women's Money Matter, which is basically a program where they are providing financial literacy coaching, and they have an State Street mentor and many other companies probably involved to support Latina women, primarily women that suffer from domestic abuse, which the goal is to really help them become financially free and independent of their potentially abusive partner, so that way they can have a more successful life. And there are many other things that we do. I'm sure I get to share some of that in the other questions as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I mean, it's so much about the education, the enablement, and bringing people together. It does take a village, and as evident as you all here today, you're all business leaders, and it needs to be business-led, so thank you for that. I'm going to move on to the next question. There's so much that we learned during the pandemic, and we're still learning, especially the need for human connection and the need for us to find ways to bring other people together. Post-pandemic, how can ERGs continue to engage virtually? And how can ERGs organize virtually? And Nat, you were sharing some things with me earlier. Can you share with this group here today?
Certainly. So, we all learned quickly during the pandemic that there was an even more need to connect with our own families, but even more with our communities. And so, and through that, we identified we need to get our teams together, we need to get our groups together. So we leveraged our web platform, so through Teams, through Zooms. First, we initially started off with the cultural events, right? So the fiestas, right? So bringing in the virtual salsa lessons at home. So we had people moving a little bit more than they were, but learning a little bit more about music and about our culture. We had at-home cooking lessons. So we brought people into our homes and share that culture, not only with just our Hispanic employee resource group members, but enterprise-wide. And then as we continued on with those events, we learned that there was more appetite for learning development. So transitioning from it at work, in office platform to virtual, we saw there a need to, let's get our members a little more in tune with the technology that we now have to transition into. So we provided trainings on Teams, on OneNote, how to incorporate that and leverage those platforms for a better opportunity to work. And then we also saw the opportunity to connect with the other employee resource groups across the enterprise. And so we connected as teams We supported each other's cultural specialty months, which was beautiful. I mean, I feel like I would have missed those opportunities in person just through the busy meetings or not having the ability to go to any particular office. So the virtual platform really broadened and it amplified the access to our companies. And I think even more, it kind of allowed us to be a little more creative in how we extend to the community. So now we have our members connected, we have them learning and developing, but how can we continue to outreach now that we don't have those in-person community service opportunities? We were able to find creative ways of putting together shelter kits. Fannie Mae did an incredible job in developing a program for Serve. And mail these packages at home. We were able to build them together, go on Zoom, and it felt like we were actually in person doing that, and delivered them out to the communities that needed them. So it was incredible that we were able to do that virtually. And now with the hybrid, we have even more access. So not only do we have an opportunity to come back in person and get those in-person connections that I as a Latina need, and it is my love language to connect and speak, so I appreciate that. And then also, for those who can't come in person, we have those virtual opportunities. We always have a link where they can connect at home, feel like they're a part and that they belong as well.
I love the ability, even those virtual hugs that are so necessary in those difficult days, for sure. And the fact that you say that reaching across the aisle, right, as we think about the intersectionality of people and the way that you connect with the ERGs and bring them together, I love that. Anthony, you were also sharing some of these virtual viewing at State Street. Can you share a little bit?
Yeah, so I mean, the way that, and actually now that I think about it, we started doing that before the pandemic, but now after the pandemic it's even more important, which is we are a global organization. We have offices across a number of countries. So something that we do and we sort of resume doing this year, and many other networks does the same, is that we set up viewing rooms in different locations. Mm-hmm. So for example, during Women's History Month, to wrap up the Women's History Month, we partner with the Professional Women's Network, and we hosted a fireside chat with one of our co-executive sponsors, Marcia Rothschild, which is the head of the Latin American and Caribbean region for State Street. And we partner with the employees in our Brazil office, and they set up a viewing room and they hosted their own lunch during the event. They participated in the Q&A. So we got a lot of good feedback from the people on the survey, how they love seeing the other offices on the screen during the Zoom. And again, the event itself was hybrid, so employees that were not physically in the main hosting location were able to join. Employees that were not in Boston, given the time that it was held, we allowed the time was easy for our employees on the West Coast to attend because it was later in the afternoon, and also our employees on some of the EMEA offices, European offices, were able to join virtually. So again, we continue to look on how do we find the optimal time for the event where we allow the most number of people to join virtually, but also in person, because we definitely want to continue bringing this opportunity. And something that we did for the in-person part is that we did a networking roundtable luncheon right after the conversation, where we invited senior leaders across the organization to host the tables and really have those like a small roundtable conversations. So we're looking for ways to eventually recreate that virtually as well, maybe doing like breakout rooms and assigning an executive or a senior person to be sort of the host in the room, and then they have the conversation. So again, I think there's a lot more work to do, and we are now living in a hybrid environment, and we just have to use everything we have available to continue that momentum and keep expanding our reach and having a greater impact.
And that reach and connection and getting to know people.
Yeah.
Yes, real quick.
No, I just want to make a quick comment here. Also, you mentioned something about data and the analytics. So during pandemic, we all had to work offline, right? Like we all had to work electronically, and then we had gotten so much stronger and better in harnessing and really leveraging data analytics, that now is a matter of bringing back people to make sense of the data. And I think productivity had ramped up in the EBRG and also in our day-to-day job. I just wanted to connect with something that I found very interesting about hybrid. Hybrid is here to stay.
Absolutely. So I'm looking at time, and I want to create space for some Q&A in a bit. As I was preparing for this, I was thinking about this quote from Helen Keller, which is, alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. And we heard Shonda earlier say, we are not alone, we're stronger together. So Jamie, beginning with you, how can ERGs collaborate for greater impact?
I think there's so many ways for us to collaborate for greater impact. So at Accenture alone, we have 40,000 ERG members across our 23 different ERGs, right? So this includes all sorts of different ERGs, Hispanic American, African American, Pride, right? Women, interfaith. Now we have a lot, right? Quite a number of ERGs, and we work together in so many ways. So for example, one of the events we just launched, we partner with all of them for all of their key moments, for all of their key months of events. So we had, for example, one around, what is it?
We have so many, I know.
We have so many. So we have like health creation. We have a lot of different ones. So it's great to partner across all of them for sure. And also one of the things we're doing is having all of our allies connected in one, so that we have allies in action that we bring together to help them be allies not just for one or another ERG, but across all as well. When we think about allies and when we think about reaching outside of just the ERG members as well, a couple of the programs that we've implemented that have been interesting where we do PALS, which is people applying language skills. So we bring people together that want to learn Spanish, that want to have that conversational Spanish, right, and bring them into our community in that way. We also have HOLA, which is our mentoring program, right, and we do the mentoring similar to, I think, what you guys are doing. And so the one that I was missing before was mental health, which is so incredibly important to all of us, right? We had some big events around mental health for Latina, because as we know, that's kind of a taboo for our culture, and so it's so great to partner with all of our different ERGs and bring everyone together.
Great examples. Anthony.
Yeah, so I mean, just how Jamie mentioned, we partner a lot with our ERGs, but what I wanted to make a little emphasis is also that we partner with the businesses as well. So, that's one of the ways we drive value. Like, as a recent example, for Cinco de Mayo, we partner with 2 businesses within the Global Advisor business. And, we co-hosted this amazing networking event organized by our talent acquisition committee, chaired by Jeanette, who's over there as well. She's a LEPG lifer. And so we partner with the business for a number of different things. In the past, we did a behavioral economics sort of 6-session workshop where we partnered also with a business to do it, and they provided swags for the participants, they provided speakers, and now we're currently partnering with a business to pilot our job shadowing program. So, we do partner often with other ERGs, which is something that comes naturally. So next week we have an Asian Latino event, for example. We're going to be interviewing an Asian Latina, and we're partnering with our Asian Professional Alliance. So, we partner with the PWN, and, we partner with the other networks during their Heritage Month, right? But we also partner often with the businesses because, again, diversity and inclusion is a business imperative. So if we keep partnering with other ERGs, it's great, but the impact and the message is delivered more effectively if you're partnering with other businesses. So that way, people in the business see it as an opportunity to be involved, but also as an opportunity to deliver the message that this is an important mission for everybody.
Actually, to build on that, right, one of the things we're seeing too from an Accenture and consulting standpoint, we're partnering with a lot of our clients' ERGs as well and doing events with them across different chapters in our different communities. So we're seeing a lot of really great examples of doing that, especially clients that are building their ERGs, right, and that they're building that sense of community. I know we've been in ERG for 25 years, but I feel like everybody, we're seeing more and more ERGs coming together, which is great to see, and how do we help them, right, not recreate the wheel.
So it's that people-led, that business-led, and when we think about community, it's also how do we navigate our partnerships in the way that we show with our people and some of the wonderful partnerships that we all are engaging with. So thank you with that. So one final question before I turn it over to the people here, la gente. Looking back in what you've done and what your organizations are doing, you're all doing some incredible things with your ERGs and through your ERGs. So they are truly a testament to the power of diversity as we think about the innovation and all the things that come along with creating a sense of belonging for people. It's also, we talked a little bit about how it unleashes the potential of people. What does the future of ERG look like? Some of you, I know you've been on for decades on this journey, but how do you continue to measure the success? So what does the future look like, and how do you measure success? And Vienna, we're going to start with you. I'm going to get each of you to share a little perspective there.
Sure. I'll speak for Fannie Mae. I think that the future of our ERGs look more of business resource groups, right? So right now we are more internally, we're members, we're getting that sense of community, sense of belonging in the workplace. But I think even more is being more in tuned internally with the business that Fannie Mae provides, so that we can help amplify those incredible initiatives that we have for our communities out there. So being more involved, we do have an impact already in some of the Latina housing journeys that that Fannie Mae is incorporating, as well as providing translations for tools that we have out there for home ownerships. So being more in tune there so that we can make an impact and extend it out to the Hispanic community as well. But I see growth. I see more members getting in tune, not necessarily those who identify as Latinos or Hispanics, but for those who find themselves as allies, to just kind of continue growing that sense of inclusivity in the workplace, which I see happening. The growth is there, and it's an honor to be a part of it, honestly. It's beautiful to see the growth. And I think even more faster now virtually. So that's my input there.
Excellent. Anthony?
Yeah, so for us, I believe this is the time for us as Taster to be more intentional about the work we do when it comes to ERG. It is a sort of business, it's a business imperative, so keep partnering with the businesses, relying on our allies and growing our allyship base. So the LAPG is probably one of the most diverse networks in terms of leadership, the representation that we have. Our advisory board is actually 50% non-Hispanic and also 50% female. So we do believe in allyship and using the power and the influence of our allies, and for that we have to create a space. So I think the future for us is really about continuing with intention, being more strategic about the programs that we put together, keep moving away from the food fund festivities and more on the impact development and providing things that we can measure and outcomes that align with the overall company strategy.
Thank you.
And if I can add to that, I love that. I love the part about measuring our progress. I know we talk a little bit, Carolina, at Accenture, about pushing up and pulling up, right? How do we help more of our Latinos be in leadership positions, right, in each of our organizations, and how do we have that leadership team look more like us? I know at Accenture we have a Hispanic American executive steerco. I sit on that steerco because I'm an ERG lead for us, and so that steerco is in place to help support the Latinos across the organization, help advise our C-suite on Latino issues, and how do we make sure that we help Accenture reach their big, bold ambitions of having more Latinos at every level of the company, which we've published, and we've set these big targets out there of we want Latinos right at every level. And overall, how do we help, at least for us, get more Latinos into technology and into pathways for growth and success?
Yeah, and linking to what you said, I mean, we also have just recently launched a senior executive level Hispano-Latino leadership cohort to continue helping others, like have those leaders at the top that are listening, that are willing to mentor and help others grow. So I want to go back to the notion of that it's both. The future of ERGs is both. It's internal, it's driven, is really to collaborate internally, bring the best of all the collaborations that we can create internally, but it is always going back to how do we serve the world and how do we really make an impact in our communities, in the world that we live. And in our case, we are after increasing access to health and bringing health disparities to a close. So how do we put the enthusiasm, the knowledge, the experience of all our leaders, of all our employees, to the benefit of the business or the business and the communities that we serve is part of the mission. And how do we measure that is part of the scorecard. Measuring us in the success that we have in closing health disparities is one measure of success. And I think it's not just an EBRG measure, but it's a measure for company success in overall. So I think that's how EBRGs will continue to grow, at least in my side of the business, which is similar to what my panelist peers here had mentioned.
I was jotting things down. I mean, it's so powerful as you think about, the culture-led, the inclusivity that you spoke of, to be intentional, to lift others as you rise, and this point around the need to be internal driven but impactful in the community is like, I mean, how powerful is that to be able to serve the world in that way? And as a Latino community, the power that we all collectively have in that voice for others. So thank you for that. We're going to create some space for Q&A now. So if there are questions, okay, we have one over here in the center. I'll run to you. What are we doing? Did you have a question? Okay, table 9. I can see the table. I'm not wearing my glasses. 9.
Hi, everybody. Powerful stories, very impactful what you're doing. And as a volunteers, it's more impactful because you are doing your regular job, plus this. I am Monica Mandis. I am Adelante co-chair for Mid-Atlantic. So I would like to know how you guys started. You started as a volunteer. How was the progress? So anybody who is not a BRG member can learn from your experience.
Fantastic question. You go ahead.
So I've been with Fannie Mae for 6 years, and the moment that I learned, which is on day one during our orientation, that there are employee resource groups within our company, I was like, I immediately wanted, well, I signed up for all of them. I'm not gonna lie, we have 11, and I signed up for every single one of them. Attended my first Hispanic employee resource group event and never left. The most impactful one was, which I think made a difference for me, and I'm sorry, I'm going a little offline here, but I remember the event that made me say, this is where I belong, is what the Hispanic Employee Research Group brought to me. When they had an external speaker speak on embracing your culture, embracing the Latino culture that you bring to the corporate world. So a lot of us tend to mute that, tend to try to fit into that corporate template, dressing in our black and white suits and our stockings and small pearl earrings, and embracing the touchy feelings that we have. Our culture, we tend to touch, we tend to hug, we're passionate in everything that we do. And so there, I said, this, I'm not alone. I didn't feel alone. And so that was the moment where I said, I'm going to stick with the Hispanic ERG. And from there, 6 years, just attending as a member, trying to incorporate myself into the events, which led then to signing my name up and being nominated as president of Hispanic ERG. So it's an incredible journey for me.
Awesome.
Thank you.
I guess I can share quickly how mine started, because it's kind of funny. So the way I got involved is because, I had a former colleague who invited me to an event, like a mixer. I'm pretty selfish with my after work time, so I have my routine every day. So, I was going to the gym, I had my gym bag and everything, and she was like, oh, Anthony, we have this event, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go. So crashed the gym. So when I went over, I ran into a dear friend of mine who's here, Jeanette, again, I keep calling Jeanette all the time. So Jeanette was like, oh yeah, we're looking members for the committees and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, so which committee are you on? And she said, oh, I'm chairing the professional development committee. And I said, okay, I'll sign up for your committee. I have no idea what it was. I just wanted to be with my friend. So, and then the next day I got a meeting invite and I said, oh my God, this is actual work. Fast forward, I ended up being the chair of the committee, now I'm the chair of the network. But, it was funny because I never knew we had an employee network because I never cared to look for the information. I think back then there was not enough information about it. You don't hear on the orientation, you know what I mean? Now it's different. Now it's the first thing you hear. Like I recruited people into the APG from day one. Like when I see them, oh, you're new, come to the APG, like literally. But, I would say that it was just, I wanted to be with my friend, like people I knew. So, and that's how it started for me.
Okay, I think we have time for one more question, but I'm going to just summarize. It's the show up and sign up. So thank you for that. Okay. Okay, table 3, I think.
Hi everyone, my name's Audrey. I just have a question. I know along your journey you've been inspired by someone or read a book by someone that encouraged you to grow 10x. Would you mind sharing a book or a person that was someone that we could research and learn from you?
Okay, so we're going to do this really fast and we're going to go down the road. So, person and book, and or. Go. Elsa.
Person, my mother. Sorry, you cannot research her, but she was. Well, you can find her on Twitter, but
Follow her on Twitter, she said.
So my mom was a science teacher, so she immediately signed me up and put me in science fairs since I was in 7th grade. And ever since, she had made it a point that we needed to get educated and we really needed to get very professional. So I follow her trajectory, to study and value education.
Okay, let me rephrase that. So people in this room, we're kind of selfish. We want to go, what's in it for me? I need something to leave here to say, like, that everyone can grow by some book or a person.
Okay, well, Mother Teresa, CEO, is my favorite book.
Who?
Mother Teresa, CEO. Thank you. You're welcome.
Well, being honest, I'm not big on reading books, so I cannot recommend books for anybody.
A podcast? A podcast?
No, not even, sorry. I'm too busy for that kind of stuff. But, one person that I admire is our current executive sponsor and biggest ally. His name is Daniel Farley, or Dan Farley. You can search it up. He's one of the chief investment officers at SSGA. I think that he's an incredible leader and, most important, an incredible ally who really makes his role as our sponsor a priority, regardless of his very busy schedule. So, I really admire him.
Thank you.
Okay, so I've got both. For the person, I have Nelly Borrero, who is sitting at table 14, and you're going to hear from her later today, this evening, if you're coming for the gala, who has really inspired me. She's been a trailblazer, Latina at Accenture. She is definitely lifting others as she rises and is an inspiration. So do look her up, and she will be here this evening. So she's amazing. So thank you, Nelly. For the book, I just reread The Alchemist. I had read The Alchemist a long, long time ago. I just reread it, and I loved it again. So The Alchemist.
And The Alchemist was my choice as well, and I reread it as well. So Paulo Coelho, it's just inspiring to continue and drive, right? Have that vision. But it's really hard for me to pick one person. I'll say 3. My mom, hard worker, homemaker, but then also worked incredibly hard to find herself in the corporate world. And so I was raised to be a housewife, and it would not go to school was not a priority for me. So watching her to do that and then do it for myself is inspiring. Elizabeth Mullins, who was a GM at the Ritz-Carlton, she was unapologetically herself. She made me cry in my first meeting, but it was more because she was like, what do you want? And I was like, I don't know. And so it just really pushed me to be confident in myself. And then now, someone who I'm just looking up with googly eyes is our new CEO. She's the first Latina CEO for Fannie Mae. It's an incredible moment to be at Fannie Mae right now. She is, again, unapologetically herself. She is so genuine, such a people person, but also a boss. I hate to use that term boss, but just really, she makes sure that she has a seat on the table. She is there to advocate for everyone. So thank you for the question, beautiful question.
Thank you so much for the question and for sharing. I have to do a plug. I know I'm a moderator, but I have to say Nelly Borrero, source of inspiration for me and for so many as we think about the trailblazer and the things that we leave behind to lift and lift others along. So I want to say thank you to all of you for the sincerity, the candor, and all the things that you brought here today. So again, thank you, Robert and Lupita and the entire team.